It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 6th day of February 2020. I come to you from on board the MS Zuiderdam. We are somewhere between Grand Cayman and Cozumel, Mexico. We land at Cozumel later this morning. The lead story on Travel and Cruise Industry News today has to do with Carnival. As most of you know, I'll be on Carnival next week on the Carnival Sunrise. And they have issued a expanded health advisory to all of their passengers. And this came out actually yesterday afternoon. And the advisory says that since their communication yesterday, which was the first travel advisory from Carnival to its passengers, they have expanded the restrictions beyond recent visitors to China and now include recent visitors to Hong Kong and Macau. Hong Kong and Macau are not currently subject to the travel health advisory issued by the CDC. The increasing number of countries and local health officials are restricting or denying entry to persons who have traveled from or through these two areas, Hong Kong and Macau, in the last 14 days, including transitioning through an airport, particularly if they have symptoms of respiratory illness. Therefore, Carnival is adopting the same standard and guests who have traveled through or been through China, so Hong Kong and Macau, in the last 14 days prior to their embarkation dates will not be allowed to sail. Now, the other interesting thing on this advisory is currently the Bahamian government has also informed the cruise lines that guests who have been to China in the last 20 days before their arrival to the Bahamas will not be allowed to disembark in a Bahamian port of call. So that affects a whole bunch of the cruise lines now that stop anywhere in the Bahamas. So they're clamping down hard in all of the Bahamian islands. So basically, if you visited China, Hong Kong, or Macau, you are potentially impacted by a travel restriction. And Carnival, of course, asks that you contact them if you fall into any of those categories. Now, I'm not sure if somebody wanted to get by this, if they could just get by it, but, and you know, there's a lot of people getting pretty worried about this thing, and rightly so, as the death toll has actually increased to 500, over 500 now. So anyway, that's our top story for today. I'll be back in just a second with a couple more things. Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scootaround. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scootaround for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise. As you can tell, we're trying to get back to somewhat the normal route of my broadcasts when we can do the live streams. Of course, this is still done via videos and uploading and downloading, and it's a pain in the, to get things up. So I'll be glad when I get back to live streaming. A couple of things further to report from from Princess Cruise Lines, the Diamond Princess, of course, that we talked about in the last broadcast. It's now been confirmed that 10 people on board the Diamond Princess have the coronavirus. The cruise line has stated that the virus includes 2 guests from Australia, 3 guests from Japan, 3 guests from Hong Kong, and 1 guest from the United States. There's also one crew member from the Philippines with a confirmed case. The vessel's already been under quarantine and anchored in Yokohama, Japan since the 3rd. The Diamond Princess returned to port early for the quarantine as a guest from Hong Kong, who had then disembarked from their cruise back in January, was later confirmed with the virus. So you've got this ship that's been quarantined. Now, there was an added story to that a couple days ago that our friend Tom Henry got up and was promoting or getting online, got it on Bruce's channel, about a gentleman who was a diabetic and was quarantined on the Diamond Princess, and they felt that this might possibly be food issues, and they shut down all the food service while they were exploring that. And this gentleman had gone some 17 or 18 hours without food, and he's diabetic, and that's, you can't do. So a number of people got on the horn. The gentleman was contacted by officials on the ship, and I guess they started bringing food to his cabin. But anyway, that got resolved with no further problem. The interesting thing that I would like to point out from that part of the story, though, since it did get resolved and didn't become a further issue, he went live to talk about this from Princess, and his live stream was wonderful. So Princess has done something right as far as live streaming goes. The quality of the stream was good. It was just like mine from home. So, tip off to the Holland American folks. Boy, you need to find out what Princess is doing and duplicate it to get your live stream up to snuff. I'm hoping it'll be different next week on Carnival as far as live streaming goes, but we'll find out when I get there. A couple other things. As a result of the coronavirus, the British-based Cunard Line, the iconic Queen Mary II, has canceled calls to Hong Kong due to concerns over this issue. They were supposed to go into Hong Kong next week, or the 18th and 19th of February, I believe it is. They're replacing that with a call to Singapore. And that, of course, is all those things over there are subject to change. So Royal Caribbean has canceled, I think it was 8 more cruises due to it. So now you're starting to get the trickle-down effect with the cruises getting canceled, and how it affects the whole ship line and what cruises go where, and it becomes a mess. But they've now increased their cancellations through early March. So I'm sure you're going to see other cruise lines doing the same thing, where they've canceled here for a couple of weeks. There's going to be more cancellation until this is over. And like I mentioned before the commercial break, the death toll is now past 500 from the coronavirus. Sad situation, and again, there's no end in sight yet for this situation. And of course, everything's restricted now from China, but it's getting expanded. So, two other stories this morning. One good and one not so good. The not so good one, there was another 5.0 earthquake on Puerto Rico earlier this week, with people still on edge from the series of quakes after last month's 6.4, which was a deadly earthquake. This was the 11th earthquake of at least the 5.0 size in the past 30 days, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The earthquake center was 13 miles southeast of Guanica. I have trouble with that word for some reason. Guanica on the southwest coast. this is the same area that's been happening all along. Shelters were starting to empty from the last one when this thing hit at 10:45. So it's been a mess. The one last month that left one person dead, destroyed dozens of homes and structures, and left 300,000 without water, 2/3 of the island without power. Since late December, a series of quakes, now 500 of magnitude 2.0 or greater, have rattled Puerto Rico, hitting infrastructure already weakened all the way back from Hurricane Maria in 2017. So, I mean, these people just, they've had hell. So, another earthquake this week in Puerto Rico. All right, the final story today. Yesterday, Royal Caribbean debuted I think it was yesterday. I'm not even sure, because days when you're out here on a ship, you don't necessarily get news stories right as they're happening. So I think it was yesterday, sometime this week, Royal Caribbean has debuted the Coco Beach Club, a high-end private facility which serves as the crown jewel of the $250 million renovation of Perfect Day at CocoCay. While there will be further changes down the line, Coco Beach Club's opening signals the end of construction for phase 1 of the project. Coco Beach Club is a private extra charge amenity, offers several distinct features. It has an infinity pool overlooking the ocean, in-water lounges that offer the ultimate place to relax in paradise, a clubhouse restaurant and bar featuring upgraded food options, including fresh lobster, grouper, and steak, plus the signature Coco Cuive drink. 2 types of cabanas, each accommodate up to 8 guests and offer a dedicated cabana attendant, snorkel gear, changing stations, and more. And they have floating cabanas, 20 private overwater cabanas offer a private water slide, overwater hammock, freshwater shower, wet bar, and more. So if you go to CocoCay and want to spend some extra money, because I guarantee you it's going to cost an arm and a leg, but it'd be a nice thing to do, they now have the Coco Beach Club. So, congratulations to Royal Caribbean for getting that up. So that about wraps us up for today for Travel and Cruise Industry News. I'm not sure about Saturday. I probably will do a show Saturday morning because, Saturday is getting back to Fort Lauderdale morning, and I've moved from this ship to the Carnival Sunrise on Saturday to sail again for another week. So, and again, because of the Wi-Fi signal, it won't be live. It will be via a video like this one. And as you can tell, I'm trying to get this as close as I can to our live stream broadcast that we were doing from my little studio at the Cave in Forest, Virginia. So anyway, that's it for today. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being with me. This is Chillie with Chillie's Cruises and Travel and Cruise Industry News.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.